Wait, here we go. Here we go. All right. And we are live.
Yay!
Woo! All right. Welcome.
Hey,
everybody.
We
Welcome
made it.
to Crossing the Streams, the only show, one of many shows that is here to entertain you and talk about TV shows. The idea of Crossing the Streams, of course, bring together some fabulous folks, talk about TV shows that you should be watching because we're watching and we just assume you should be watching them too. But with our new tradition, we're going to kick things off right away with our theme song. Here we go.
hey, I'm Dean Martin. Here's a story of some lonely fellas who spend way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really, just between you and me. They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff and Ron and Sal and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing the Streams. And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams. We cross the streams.
Is this thing over
We
yet?
cross the streams. That's the way we do it here. We cross those streams. Those kooky
Nice.
streams.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
I like.
Yeah,
It was kind of the
good job.
Michael Bublé version of the song.
that was
No,
that was
good.
fantastic.
It was the Richard Cheese version. Remember Richard
Yeah.
Cheese?
I think it was the William Shatner version, is what I heard.
I think
That was good. It was good.
I think that ranks in the top
Rocket
in the
Man.
top 8. It ranks in the top 8 for sure.
How many shows have you done?
We have
This is
done
the eighth.
8. We have done 8.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's awesome. So
Nice.
welcome everybody. We've got a great show for
Howdy.
you today.
Yeah.
Great
Good
show.
to be here.
Good to be here. Yeah. So what do we got? We got a special guest today, Scott Curtis. Scott Curtis, Behind the Bits podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at the
Hey, Scott.
BTBPC. Hey, Scott.
Welcome.
Tell everyone who you are,
Welcome.
man.
Oh, hey, thanks for having Scott. He's really depressed because of the whole GameStop thing. So I'm going to sit in for him. I'm Dean Martin. Hey, it's me, Dean Martin. But not really. I'm going to bring Scott out. Hey, it's me, Scott. How
Wow.
you doing?
Oh, how did
Oh,
What
hey,
happened?
wait a minute.
Yeah,
I think
that
we.
was
What
That
is
was
this?
weird.
Some wizard
that was
shit?
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah, Dean and I can switch places really quickly. So yeah, I'm Scott
Amazing.
Curtis. I'm one of Jeff's best friends that's in Mishawaka, Indiana, and I host the BTBPC.com thing because somebody stole Behind the Bits. The podcast is called Behind the Bits, folks. And it's a serious talk about stand-up comedy. Jeff was on it. We talked seriously. We didn't yuck it up. We didn't do the morning zoo stuff. We do real talk about stand-up comedy. And I've won some awards, at least one. I've won an award for best interview style podcast, and that's cool. And I also do a show on Thursday nights called the BTB Internet Talk Show, which is not a serious talk about stand-up comedy. It's a wacky little talk show where Dean Martin shows up and talks about Sammy Davis Jr. So that's me in a nutshell, guys.
Nice.
All right. Good to meet you.
I'm 56
Fantastic.
years old, by the way.
Fantastic.
Scott loves it. Scott loves it. Tells you. I can't hear the phrase in a nutshell without picturing Austin Powers from just being a nutshell.
How did I get in a nuts or love?
Wait
So-
a second. What, Scott? What are you drinking to know if you're really 56?
Yeah, I'm drinking, I think, Evan Williams and Diet Root Beer.
Nice. Nicely
And
done.
I want to thank Jeff for giving me a reason to drink on Wednesday because my show on Thursday is my reason to drink on Thursday, but now I can drink on Wednesday too. So thanks, Jeff.
Oh, you're welcome.
Everybody, let's get Scott on as many shows as possible, as many nights as possible.
Oh yeah. We don't need excuses to drink on a Wednesday.
Wow.
I had to stop just to do this show.
Yeah.
Oh, that's depressing.
I know.
I'd be drinking
All
more, but I have
true.
too many buttons to push. So Bob is back. We had prematurely reported that he died of windmill cancer in the last episode, but he is seemingly fine. It turned out just to be a Wi-Fi issue. Oh, hey, Lisa! Look at that, Amy.
Lisa.
Look at and Howard. You know Howard too. Look at this. This is so exciting. So exciting. The
hey, all right.
Yeah,
and I saw the notorious CRP's in the house.
Yes, he is. As the Chacon, I think.
Yes, Casey Ryan Plot is here. It is our goal whenever he shows up to try and convince him to watch the shows that we're going to be talking about. So we're pretty excited about that. The people at Reddit are watching to see if they're going to drive up our stock or not. So that's pretty cool. Oh, we got a hello from Christian Fletcher on Facebook. Hey, buddy, what's up? And then, so this is exciting. Oh, we do have to take one moment. It's now so Cloris Leachman passed away. Yeah. And so there's a picture.
Fablucha.
There's obviously some. She's amazing, and but when Wonder Woman 1984 came out, and if you look in the right hand corner there, she actually played. She was the Queen. She played Wonder Woman's mother, and I was just like, I'm like, damn, and so she's definitely a loss. And then
Ovaltine.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Last time, a couple episodes ago, it was Don Wells. It's like, I'm starting to worry that us doing this show is sort of, there's a cause and relation between.
Two weeks ago, we had to postpone it because there was an insurrection.
Oh, right. They stormed the Capitol. Yeah. Don Wells died. Now Cloris Leachman. That's 3 out of 8. Oy, oy, oy. So
it's bad.
She
obviously had a fantastic career with tons of great roles. But then the capper
she was great.
Might have been. Well, she did the Bob Saget roast on Comedy Central a few years back, and she killed it.
That.
It was amazing.
Yeah, she was a great comedic actress. I loved her. The low point for me was when she was on Dancing with the Stars like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
and I mean she was looking old then. It would look like Weekend at Bernie's. They're just dragging her around, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, she was.
But she's like Betty White. She's fighting to the end. She's spunky to the end. She was even like as old as she was on Dancing with the Stars. She was still kind of a hoot to watch. That was fun.
Yeah.
So before we get into just kind of everyone saying hello and just the opening topic, just want to kind of remind everyone. Last week we talked about some great shows, and this is what we do on Crossing the Streams. We talk about some awesome TV shows. So if you want to check out episode 7, we talked about Party Down, Misfits, The Irish Pub. Misfits was brought to you by Jess Paul, our special guest, awesome. and then Cobra Kai. You see, there's a missing image there because I had to edit it because Bob flaked out on his Wi-Fi and we had to remove it. But the good news is this week. This is what you have upcoming. So if you've seen any of these shows, get your comment fingers ready. We're going to catch up on WandVision, just kind of it's in the middle of that run, but we're going to talk about that. Bob is going to once again attempt Mindhunter. So we're going to, it could be a running thing. I'm going to talk about Lupin, which is a new show, which I loved. And then Scott's going to talk about 60 Days In, and then Ron's going to take us out with Servant, which is another great show. So
M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong.
One of the things we were talking about before the show is Bob posted about this earlier. Is we were talking about OnlyFans, and while we're going to keep our clothes on because everyone that's what people want to see is us clothes. But what do you guys think people would pay you to watch you do, Bob? What do you think? What would people pay to watch you do? Like go into a service and go, I'm giving Bob Phillips money. Go ahead, Bob.
I've got 2 things up there right now. I do have a OnlyFans page, and I only have one fan. It's me. It's just videos. I have. I'm in a Green Lantern costume, an ill-fitting Green Lantern costume, and I'm extolling the virtues of my new snowblower. And it's sort of avant-garde. I mean, you'd have to see it really to believe it. So check it out.
How much would one pay for that, Bob?
That's hot.
I don't
It
know.
is.
No one's ever paid me. I mean, $4. I think that's the going rate. Nobody signed up yet.
Go figure.
Scott,
It's
what about
kind
you?
of an affirmation for you.
Yeah. What about you, Scott?
I just want to know more about that Green Lantern costume. I mean,
Earth 1 or Earth 2, yeah.
I mean, how form-fitting is it?
Well, Casey Ryan Plott needs the URL after the show, Bob, and he's gonna pay you.
All right.
Jerry definitely is paying us to keep our clothes on. Just go to our Patreon and fill that out, and then we can do that. Thank you, guys. Tim said hi earlier. I didn't want to miss that.
Hey,
and
Tim.
then Jerry from last week. Thank you,
nice.
Rosner, for his party down suggestion. So
Fantastic.
spreading the good word. Oh, and our buddy Mick Manhattan.
Oh, Mick Manhattan.
Oh,
Mick is here. Good to see you, Mick.
And then Tim is questioning Scott's ability to dress, which we just got him here. Okay, so Scott, Curtis, what would someone pay to see you do?
Well, I've got two things. First off, I don't think I bring anything to the table, so I would have to bring Dean Martin out and just run the controls for him, and he'd sing like bad songs badly because he was cryogenically frozen, and we just thawed him out, and he didn't turn out so good. So he'd be singing stuff like Winger. Like 17 and stuff like that. So I think that would be somewhat entertaining. And really the other thing would be just my bobblehead. I would just sit here with my bobblehead and say, hey, that's me. My wife got this for me. So nice. I think I could clean up on that.
I think so too. Scott's wife was convinced that bobblehead looked like Scott.
Thank you for being behind me, Jeff. That was very convincing.
You're welcome. So Ron, what about you, man? What can I pay to watch you do?
I actually think you will pay for this. I have this fascination with furries. I freaking love furries, furry conventions, furry people. For me to somehow get hold of a furry costume, go to a furry convention, and get into a fight with somebody at the furry convention, that's what I have in mind. And if someone could film that, I guarantee you all of you guys would pay for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I don't think you've done enough research on furry conventions. They don't fight. But Rosner, what would you do?
I would pay you in Bitcoin. That's what I'd pay.
Yeah, I have a Ted costume. You've seen that, have you?
I have.
So yeah, you can borrow that. I would. It would be me, just quiet music, dark candlelight, and I would be sexy reading passages from like the 50 Shades series, erotic books, while eating M&M's candies, Crunch and Munch or Orville Redenbacher popcorn made by either the Mars Corporation or ConAgra, competitors of Mondelez Global Corporation. That's clearly what I would do.
You are caution.
Jerry's ready to watch you fight in a furry costume.
Thank you, Jerry.
So I think all I would do is I would just I would run people down, and it just apparently I'm a name dropper. It's like, oh, Kevin Pollak. Yes, I know Kevin Pollak. I worked with Kevin Pollak. You may know him from A Few Good Men and Miss Maisel, but I worked with him once. Here's a quick story.
You managed to get the dead Dawn Wells in again.
Yeah, my wife, Morgan Fairchild.
I did meet Dawn Wells once, but I know that was
you told me.
I know. And it's exciting. You know who else I met? I have a great interview coming out on Monday. Candy Clark from American Graffiti.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow.
Nice. Oh, we know Candy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great one. So that'll be cool. Nice. And then all right. You know what, folks? You know what it's time for? It's time to get into some
cross some streams.
It's time to cross some streams.
Yeah.
This is where. And what do we got first? We got it's exciting. We got so exciting. This one is, I think, on everybody's mind. This is the latest show on Disney Plus, the latest extension of the amazing Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, which is actually like a nice return. It's kind of wading back in. So first, I'll just talk about, for those of you that don't know, it's on Disney Plus. It is Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, and Vision from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For those that don't remember, Vision technically died in Infinity War. And so first, just what the show is in these first 3 episodes. If you're watching it and you don't know that it's potentially leading to something, you're looking at it going, what the hell? But it's really fun the way they're making you do it. It's their 50s and now into the 60s, early 70s sitcoms, basically, that Wanda and Vision are in. And they did a great job of picking up the rhythms of those sitcoms, you know, the laugh track, the jokes, very similar styling. And it'd be fun to watch if you didn't know that there's something massive at the end of this 8-episode run. So what is it leading to? It's clearly going to lead to something connected to the whole next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which will kick off with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which will be the first film. Most people believe the story's predominantly based on a major comic book storyline in the 2000s called The House of M, which is where Wanda, grieving over her children's death, basically is losing her mind and ripping the multiverse and Earth as we know it apart. So to keep her from doing that, they connect her to this artificial world where they can manage that. It's a huge storyline that affected like all of the Marvel characters, and led at the end of it to her famous line, which was "No more mutants." And then she wakes up and they realize she was in a different Earth in the multiverse, but just craziness. So the question is this very much based on that? Not necessarily over her children's death, but more so over Vision's death. There's a lot of clues that that's the case. Every episode, when they get bigger and bigger through the first 3 episodes, there are hints that give you that she's clearly not. This is somebody's imagination. This is artificial for sure, and there's somebody manipulating it. There's so many cool things. So Catherine Hahn, who's been in so many great comedies, she plays a character called Agnes that most people believe is absolutely Agatha Harkness, who was a witch and a major character in the comic books. For sure that a character that came in called Geraldine is really Monica Rambeau, who was the daughter of Captain Marvel's best friend in the Captain Marvel movie.
Wow. I'm thinking in the granularity of that. Sorry, Howard, keep going.
Yeah, no, it's great. The thing there, that I forget her name, but played Darcy in the Thor movies. She's going to show up in the series. The crazy thing, though, her brother, who died in Age of Ultron, spoiler alert, came out like 7 years ago. So forget it if you didn't know that. That character was Quicksilver, and he's also in the X-Men movies, which weren't part of the cinematic universe, played by Evan Peters. So there's now word that he's going to show up, Evan Peters is, as her brother in this storyline. But the most exciting thing, I think, is Paul Bettany, who plays Vision, has said that there's a character who's going to show up by the final episode that is a well-renowned actor who he's wanted to work with forever. So the rumors that are out there in all the Reddit lines on this are probably either Sir Ian McKellen or Michael Fassbender, who both played Magneto in the two different X-Men storylines. Now the X-Men and mutants can be part because Disney now owns the rights. And then for those that don't know from the comics, Magneto was actually Peter and Wanda's father in the comic books. So it's really interesting. It's a new episode every Friday for the next 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is. It started slow in the first one. I thought, oh, this is cute. The third one now, I can't wait for the episodes because they're going to reveal more and more and become more like movie action. I totally believe, and then it'll lead right into the next Marvel movie. So
Howard, my kids were telling me who are huge Marvel fans, and I'm not. Admittedly, I knew none of the backstory behind this, but they were very clear to tell me pay very close attention to the commercials. That there are important elements to keep track of.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the same actors in all the commercials. So the rumor is that Peter and Wanda's parents, is that who they were? So they're envisioning them. There's little things. The first one was a toaster that was made by Stark Industries, and there's a ticking during that. So the question is the story that they tell in Age of Ultron about why they wanted revenge on Tony Stark with the bomb that they had to wait for that to explode. The second one was a Hydra-matic something. Hydra obviously was who created them in the comics. So there's so many little things that lead to that are clues, and people are trying to figure out who the characters are because they're part of something bigger. And that's part of the fun of the show. Really is watching that.
I am so impressed with your with your knowledge of this. I mean, I'm a Marvel fan too, but I don't know half of that.
Yeah. And I feel like we're watching the same. I feel like we're watching a different show because I just think it's a cute show.
Yeah, no, it's all going to lead to the whole concept of the multiverse is a huge part of the comics, right? And this is how they're going to deliver that concept. So the thought also would be that the Spider-Man Into the Multiverse, the animated, that was incredible. That this is their way, and then the next Spider-Man movie will feature into this multiverse as well. They'll bring back, so they already have said that Tobey Maguire will make an appearance as Spider-Man or Peter Parker in the next Spider-Man movie, bringing back to the original. But the way they'll do that is he will have been Spider-Man in a different sector, a different Earth in the multiverse.
He would have to be. He's like 60 now.
Yeah. So this is how they're gonna, get to that subject, and this is where they'll really set up the whole next phases of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just a great way to do it.
Andrew Garfield is joining also.
That's right. Yep. So they'll have all three of the Spider-Man.
I think he wants to come on the show and talk once all the episodes are done. We'll do a recap.
All right. So we'll recap it at the end.
So for me to enjoy this, do I have to do homework? And by homework, do I mean care anything about the Marvel universe?
It would help.
Okay.
It's cute otherwise, but yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen the movies, it's probably not going to do much for you.
Scott, I'm with you. I hadn't seen a single movie leading up to this. It's still interesting. I do think it's an interesting show. Where there are 3 episodes in, I think it's a worthwhile watch, even with zero background.
Okay, because we're talking Easter eggs and stuff like that, and I'm just way beyond looking for that stuff. It's got to be right in front of me and explained to me. And
I'm with you.
Maybe a written instructions on how to watch. That's what I need.
Yeah. Pause every 10 seconds. Pause and see what's on the screen. So
all right.
Yeah,
We
There's
could
a
go
ton of
on
other
and on. We could go on how we had to drag Ron to the movies when people went to movies. But let's move on to the next one, which I'm excited to talk about, which is Lupin, which is a newer show on the
Never heard of it.
Lupin. It's a newer show. It just debuted in
All over
Okay.
Netflix.
in February or in January on Netflix, and so. Here's the thing about Lupin. Lupin it's a French mystery thriller. And by French, I mean it's dubbed. So if you have an issue watching something where the voices don't 100% match, that can be a little weird. But
I'm watching this show.
You're watching the right. You're right. The who did you? Ron just left.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it's all right. Now I'm bigger. You can see me better. I got rid of him. So anyway, but like the whole idea behind this is wait, Ron's back. This is a live show for you folks.
Yep.
Okay, welcome back, Ron. So anyway, so Lupin, but the acting everything is amazing, and the story with Lupin is amazing. Since it is brand new and likely not a lot of people have seen it, I'm not going to go too deep into Lupin, other than to say I'm watching the first episode and my wife's watching it. She's kind of multitasking while you're watching it. This is not like a multitasking show. Give it your time, because I'm watching it and she literally looks down when the main character does something that really kind of makes you understand exactly where this is and how this is going to work and how this is going, like who this character is. But she's looking down. By the time she looks up, I cannot convince her to watch this show. It became the show. And if you're at home and you have a partner or anything, this became then the show I watched when she wasn't around. Everyone has to have that show. You have the shows you watch with your partner, and then you have the shows that you watch when they're not around. And you have to kind of have both. Anyway, so this became that for me. There's 5 episodes, and I believe it's a 10-episode series, and I believe the other 5 are going to come back. The amazing thing about this is it's based on it's an adaptation of a book, but it's not an exact adaptation of the book. They kind of created a world where the book is a character in the story, almost, where the character becomes the character in the book, uses that as their sort of who they became. He's a thief in the book, and it's a story about the boy. It's about a boy, and his father brings him here from another country. And then the father is wrongly accused of a murder. This is 25 years ago in the story. And the father ends up killing himself. And then the story is now 25 years later, and he's an adult, and he's getting revenge on the person that framed his father. And the book, it plays an integral role in who he is and all that kind of stuff. But it's like huge. Apparently, it's like one of the biggest shows on Netflix right now. But it's weird because it's like they're saying it's one of the biggest ones, but it's not like you're not hearing about it like you heard about Queen's Gambit or like any of those other ones.
They're marketing it heavy, Jeff. It's everywhere. When anything that has to do with Netflix, that's right on the front page.
Yeah, it's on my front page.
Yeah, but are people talking? Do you see? Are your friends talking about Lupin? Like they talk about Queen's Gambit and stuff like that.
Lupin sounds like a pain reliever. You know, it's something I see on CNN.
It's based on a book called The Adventures of and I'm going to say it wrong because it's Arsène Lupin. I'm trying. That was me pretending to be French for a second. And so it's based on that book, and so but it's the character in the book reads that book and then adapts that character, because the character in the book is kind of like this suave thief and master of disguise and all that kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting. Lupin was also Harry Potter. That is true. It is true. And Mick Manhattan wants to know if we've watched The Night Stalker. Stick to the theme of the show, Mick.
Yes.
We talk
Come on, Mick.
We're in control here, Mick, not you.
Yes.
We should have a call. We'll have a call-in show.
Yeah, we'll have a call. Oh, that would be a good one.
Actually,
sorry, Casey, can't put that one up. Anyway, so I highly recommend this show. It's totally worth checking out. And again, I apologize for not going too deep into it, but it's not like one of those that have been around for 20 years where we want to do it. It's been around for 2 weeks, so I don't want to give away too much, but it's totally worth it. And the best part about the end of it you know, a lot of times these shows they kind of end, right? And then they're like, and then and then you feel like what they have to almost like completely restart the story to get it going when they come back. This one ended in a great way where it's still, you could feel like it's still got this real ramp up into the story. So I'm excited to see the second half and how this concludes. I've convinced Mick Manhattan.
I'm convinced.
But I do check it out. It is in French and it's dubbed, but don't worry about that. Just sit back and maybe don't wear your glasses and you won't even notice.
Can I turn the dubs off? Because I took 4 years of French and I can say mon cahier et mon stylo and je m'appelle Scott. So I think I could probably get through it.
Oh yeah. It's like
mon crayon is jaune et grande.
It's my favorite. My
pencil is big and yellow.
My favorite.
Nice for you.
S'il vous plaît.
My favorite Steve Martin bit is "oof" means egg and "chapeau" means hat. It's like those French have a different word for everything.
I like that. There's another part of that bit where he says that you try to order a little French in a restaurant and you spout off and then they bring you a shoe with cheese on it.
And I'd like you to massage my grandmother.
Yeah, so like to massage my grandmother.
All right, let's move on to the next show. This is Scott Curtis. Our guest is going to take us. I have to admit, I know absolutely nothing about this show. It's on A&E. It's called 60 Days In. It claims to self-proclaims itself to be a groundbreaking real life series. Scott, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, I want to preface this by saying that I am not a reality show guy and I'm a literate person. I read a lot more books than I consume media, but my wife and I were at a point where we just needed to turn off. We needed to watch something that would totally turn our brains off and let us just be entertained by stupid people. And 60 Days In did not disappoint. The premise of the show is we've got these jails that have some problems. So these average Joes off the street volunteer to become inmates so that they can tell you what's wrong with the jail. Now,
interesting.
A lot of different things happen. So, and you get surprised by stuff. And the funny thing is I know reality shows are rigged and the producers tell you to do this and that, but some of these prisoners they've got in there, they're not going to tell them to do anything. They are acting on their own volition and they are punching people because they want to, not because the producer told them to. But you get all these different characters in there. You've got one guy that you would think would be the absolute worst undercover inmate in the world. I mean, he's a very devout Christian. He's got a large family. He probably didn't have sex before he met his wife. I mean, just very never engaged in fisticuffs in his life. And the guy goes in and he has kind of a rocky start, but he actually wins over a lot of the prisoners because he's bridging the gap between one gang and another gang and just making friends with everybody. So he does an actual fantastic job. On the other hand, you get this guy that says he's a badass. He's a private investigator. He used to be a cop. He's just a tough guy. He goes in and he cannot handle it for 2 days. He's scared. People are targeting him and he gets put in solitary for, I think, like 30 days or something like that. And they finally have to let him go. And it's such a hodgepodge of different people that really surprise you. There's one girl that comes in that is really, she's very intelligent. I think she works in engineering, but she, had some family members that went to jail. She goes to jail and she's obviously in the women's section of the prison and falls in love with an inmate and pretty much gets to the point where she wants to stay there. She just wants to stay there with her inmate lover and be in the jail.
Wow.
But I mean, it's crazy.
That took a
It's
left
like
turn.
most marriages. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. And all these people that come in bring something different to the table. And there's one guy who is a former Marine that goes in and probably does the most perfect job of anybody, and he makes friends with everybody because there's gangs in all the jails, and he makes friends with everybody and all the gangs. Everybody respects him and gets a lot of information. And at the end of his 60 days, they pull him aside and say, we would like for you to stay another 60 days because you got so much good information. And the dumbass takes it. He goes in another 60 days and gets even more information and turns out to be the last guy in that season to be taken out. And just really calm, cool, collected. He had a couple situations where things could have got really rocky. Like a guy took his tablet. They give you tablets from the commissary and broke it and put it in his cell. And everybody in the cell block liked him so much, they were going to target this guy. They were going to kill him. and he was trying to talk him out of it. And finally, because of reality TV, that guy got moved over to a different cell block. And everybody was saved because reality TV. But it's really funny because what you expect out of the people coming in, the ones that talk the biggest story are usually the ones that don't last, and a lot of them don't last 60 days. Some of them last one day, some of them last a week, and some of them last maybe half the time, but probably 3/4 of them don't last the whole time. And then the great part is they're all in there together. There's usually 3 guys and 3 girls in a cell block together, and the drama that goes on between them gets all recapped in the reunion episode where they all fight with each other. So it's a laugh riot. It's a lot of fun. And it's one of those reality shows where I feel like the producers can't manipulate it as much as they do other reality shows, because you can manipulate the people who are participating, but the folks who are incarcerated, they're going to do what they want to do. And you see a lot of, fist fights. You see a lot of people taken to a cell and beaten down, and they come out bloody and nasty and really hurt. So
again, some marriages.
Yeah. So it's definitely.
Scott, what are they compensating these people? Do they talk about that at all? What
they don't talk about the compensation, but they all go on publicity tours after their season. They do a reunion episode, and then they do an episode, Where Are They Now?, which is, I think, a few months later. But a lot of them, they say that they've got some PTSD and stuff like that, because it's amazing because they're different prisons, and these different jails are so much different in the way they treat their prisoners. I mean, the last one I watched, and I watched the seasons out of order, but the last one, they would just throw them a bag of cold sandwich and like a Snickers bar, and that was your meal morning, noon, and night. Whereas other ones, you'd get a nice plate of hot food. And it's really amazing how that works out. And then they also expose some pretty bad guards too. So there's some guards that are just out there to really antagonize and not be helpful to the prisoners at all.
Well, the good news is you convinced Casey Ryan Plot. First time at the bat, but you also convinced Jess Paul.
All right.
So
Scott,
and off camera, you've convinced my friend Susan from Grand Rapids, who's asking me via text, how many hours is this show?
So I think it's 5 seasons, and each season has a minimum of 13 episodes.
Oh wow!
And they're all an hour each. Yeah.
So I love how you
took the time to text Bob instead of just Google it.
Yeah.
Well, it's
like Ask
for useless information.
Yeah. I was
So-
totally blown away by this show because I've skewed away from reality totally, and this one was just really different for me. And it was what I needed when I needed to turn my brain off, and yet I really got into it. It was one of those where I was not looking at my phone. I was not multitasking at all when I watch this because you never know what's going to happen.
A&E over the past few years drove tremendous viewership. They had some really good crime-related shows. Live PD was a huge viewership show that I thought was amazing, and unfortunately, they put it on the back burner probably permanently during all the police situation this summer. But they had Live Rescue, which was the fire version of that, and the First 48, which is solving homicides, is a great show.
Yeah.
And they're all reality, but you're right, Scott. The reality, but they're not. It's not scripted reality. It's almost like mini documentaries, and I'm sure they're somewhat edited to be a little bit more entertaining, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's not people playing a role. It's just people put into situations.
Right.
Live PD was great, and I've seen it as well. It's a good show. It's really good.
It's no To Catch a Predator, but I mean,
No,
it's
but
pretty
what
good.
is? And speaking of, so here we go. Jess Paul has been waiting for the Mindhunter review, so we're canceling it and we're gonna move it to next week.
We're gonna do the Paul Lynn Christmas special again.
We gotta keep.
Best show ever.
We gotta keep Jess coming back. Gotta keep
HR
Jess coming back.
Puffin stuff, retrospective.
Yeah, Electro.
So we're doing Mindhunter.
We are doing mine, of course. We're doing it right now. So this was for those of you who were upset that we weren't able to get to it next week. We're doing it this week. Bob Phillips is locked and loaded. Bob, take us through Mindhunter.
All right, Mindhunter, one of my favorite shows. It's only 2 seasons. It was in I think the last season was a little over a year ago. And then, of course, COVID hit. So it's on indefinite hiatus. But I've read that there is going to be a season 3. It is a fascinating show because it follows 2 characters, Holden and who's a sort of new FBI impressionable egghead kind of guy. And then the hard-bitten partner, Bill Tench. Who's been at it forever and he's seen everything and he's, let me tell you what it's about, kid. All right, so this is the FBI in the late 70s, and this is prior to the development of serial killer knowledge, how to catch them, why they do what they do, that kind of thing. These 2 guys actually get together to start this section of the FBI. So they get to interview all these real killers from the past. There's a guy, I don't know if you remember this name, Edmund Kemper, a huge monolith of a man. I think he was like 6'9", 340 pounds. It's just a massive human being who rose to fame by having sex with his mother's skull after he'd killed her. I mean, this is an actual thing. And so these guys, they go into jail. This is pre, Jodie Foster out,
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, right. And so it's fascinating because they don't know everything that is known during Silence of the Lambs. So, you know how she's just so sure about how things are going to unwind and where to go and all that. There's a lot of surprises in this. Now, I'm going to say this. The character, Bill Tench, he's a fascinating guy. He's married. He's got a son. The Holden character, there are times, although I love the show, I'm praying that he gets killed. He's so boring. It's like, how do you write 2 seasons of this guy and he never stops being boring? I don't know how this happens. But just enough excitement in his life to keep the story forward. So it begins. First season is the late 70s. The second season is during the early 80s, where you get to meet David Berkowitz, son of Sam, Charles Manson in the prison. They go to interview him, And season 2 is mainly about the Atlanta child killings, the Wayne Williams, and how they tracked him down, and how they're kind of they're putting together this body of knowledge, and they're testing themselves to see if they're right, and they're right most of the time. It's a really good show. You're talking about typewriters and no cell phones, no computers, no nothing. So those become plot points during the seasons. Very good. I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to be a serial killer nowadays with all the technology and cell phones.
Yeah. Don't
Bob,
I know it?
Wasn't there?
They get around and they all get together and talk about
Wasn't
the
there
old
a
days.
Mindhunter with the Unabomber? Or
You know what? I think
That's actually a different series.
Is it a different series? Okay.
This
Yeah.
series, oddly enough, produced by Charlize Theron.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, I like how you say the name too. Jess
Yeah.
Paul's throwing some fisticuffs at you. She says Holden isn't boring, but just self-righteous. And Mick said that Fincher, the director, I believe, is not doing a season 3.
That really sucks.
That what?
And
They're
then
not
the
gonna
guy
have
who
it?
played Manson also played Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Ah, okay. Look at all this information.
Yeah. And then, by the way, and then Casey Ryan Plott is a big fan of the show Reconvinced.
All right. I'm glad to reconvince you.
I feel like Mindhunter, when I look at I'm in some of these groups on Facebook, TV groups, which they can be maddening a little bit, because every day somebody's like, should I watch Breaking Bad? Is it good? I'm like, shut up. You shouldn't be allowed on the internet.
Just stop.
And, but like Mindhunter is one of those shows that people either go, I love Mindhunter, or they go, I don't get it. It's like it seems to be like one of those shows where it's people love it or they don't.
It's one of the best shows.
I don't mean not good. Well, yeah, I mean,
I absolutely loved it. And Holt McCallany that plays Tencher.
Yeah.
He deserves every award. His acting range. A guy who is a tough guy on the exterior, but really loves his family and is really kind of a softie on the inside. And he shows both of those equally. And I just love it.
I thought it was a great show. There's a little bit of everything going on in every episode. Now, last season, there's a major plot point. I don't want to give away anything, but there are shades of Dexter going on.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, and it's going to blossom, at some point. But I highly recommend it.
Nice.
Highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Highly recommended.
Nice.
That takes us to our final show, which is not Mindhunter.
Not Mindhunter.
Which is Servant, M. Night Shyamalan show on Apple TV Plus. What? Notice Ron only does shows from Apple TV.
I swear it's not by design, but the last 3 in a row have been Apple TV Plus. You're 100% right. So this show was conceived by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. He's also the executive producer, and he directs actually 2 of the first season's 10 episodes. And it's super interesting. I watched an interview with the guy, and he actually pitched this show a few years back. And it actually became a bidding war between all of the streaming platforms. That's how good the show was conceived in the script and the plot line. And he ultimately, decided to distribute the show with Apple. It was his choice. And he chose Apple because I thought this was really fascinating. It tells you a lot about the streaming world, that Apple was still looking for their House of Cards. Like an acknowledgement that, House of Cards was like the dominant permanent setup for Netflix as an originator of content, right? So Apple has strong content. Like Ted Lasso's done a great job, but they're still looking for that game changer of a show, and everyone, including Netflix, including Amazon, who bid on this, believes that it very well is going to be this show. As I said, it's 10 episodes. They're 30-minute episodes, which is amazing for a drama. 30-minute episodes, super easy to binge. The entire first season you can binge in 5 hours. It stars Lauren Ambrose, who, if you don't know who she is, she was my favorite actress from the HBO show 6 Feet Under. She played the creepy daughter who drove the hearse around, and it has Toby Kebbell, who you might know as Dr. Doom from the Fantastic Four. That dude plays a celebrity chef in the show. Nell Tiger-Free, for those of you who are Game of Thrones fans, she played Myrcella Baratheon, and you later find out as Myrcella Lannister. And then super strangely, Rupert Grint. Does anybody know who Rupert Grint is?
Yeah. Ron Weasley.
Ron Weasley of Harry Potter fame, who as far as
everyone's favorite redhead.
As far as I can tell, wanted to make sure that he was never typecast again as any kind of innocent character, because this dude plays like the most dysfunctional alcoholic prick you've ever seen in your entire life. And he actually does it really, really convincingly.
I love that. Dysfunctional alcoholic prick. I'm in.
So the show is about a grieving couple who just lost their baby, and you're not really told what happened, at least not right away. But what's clear is that the mom, played by Lauren Ambrose, she's not handling the grief well at all, and the family decided to manage the grief by bringing home this super creepy, realistic baby doll as like a temporary coping strategy, and they're hoping this is going to ease the emotional torment. But what happens is that the mom becomes super attached to the doll, and she ends up treating it like a real kid, bathing it, trying to nurse it, really crazy stuff. Right. And then ultimately hiring an equally creepy nanny who's played by Nell Tiger-Free, who ends up caring for the doll while the mom tries to restart her career as a reporter. And things from there, if that wasn't weird enough, they get super weird when, at the height of everyone begging this mom to get help, that she's actually losing it, the doll becomes a real baby. And the nanny continues, the nanny stays, the nanny continues to care for it as if absolutely nothing happened. And the rest of the show is all about this completely damaged family trying to piece this all together. And M. Night is slowly trying to answer your questions that we all have, where the hell did this baby come from? What's with the nanny? Is she just weird, or are there supernatural superpowers, at play here? Is the husband starting to lose his mind, just like the wife? There's all kinds of symbolism and religion in this show, which you find in most of the M. Night Shyamalan movies. But I don't know, M. Night kills me because half of his movies I loved. I loved Lady in the Water. I loved Sixth Sense. But then he's the same guy that did Signs, which I thought was the biggest piece of shit ever. And he did Village, which was really dumb and a waste of time.
Wait, so you saw The Happening, didn't you?
I did not see The Happening.
That's the biggest piece of shit ever.
Isn't that the one with
Mark Wahlberg?
Wahlberg, yeah.
So
listen.
So M. Night Shyamalan, it seems to have this thing where he's either scores absolute winners or sucky things, and I have to tell you now, I watched the first season. As I said, it's a quick binge. They're now 2 episodes into the 3rd season. They're not doing the single episode per week, which sucks. That they're not dropping at all. So they're on episode 3 for season 2, and I have to tell you, this is a winner. This is an absolute winner. The ratings are through the roof. Howard, it's now the #1 show in Apple TV Plus, their entire run of shows. And they're saying it's going to be the biggest show on television with the exception of The Queen's Gambit. So,
wow.
Yeah, so they're saying big things about it. So I'm impressed by it. I think it's a super riveting show. It's not a horror show, just so you guys, for those people that don't like scary shows, this is not a horror movie. It's more of a kind of like a mystery supernatural vibe to it.
It reminds me, the plot reminds me a little bit of Artificial Intelligence. You remember that one? With the kid from, that
same
their
kid,
child dies and they get a robot. What's that?
It's similar to that.
It was the same kid from Sixth Sense. Haley Joel.
Yeah.
It was Haley Joel Osment.
It was like the show from the 80s with the little robot daughter.
Oh
maid.
God, Small Wonder.
Jerry's calling it out as a ripoff of the Kardashians, and then you convinced Jess Paul to actually invest in an entire streaming service. So that's a big win for you, Ron.
It's a big win for me. I seem to
you
be
convinced
invested in it.
Casey Ryan Plot. So
If you could find Ron a show about a haunted submarine that was subtitled, he would be in heaven
with a roller coaster mixed in. Yes, I think you have me.
and
a furry mascot.
Yeah. So Scott,
Ron
you missed. I love Das Boot from Hulu. That show is fantastic. But that's another stream for another day. But check it out, you guys. I really think it's a very catchy show. It's not one of these slow roll shows. You get hooked to the very first episode, asking all kinds of questions.
I'm in.
Hey, can we as we draw to the close of this week's episode, let's we have a lot of our loyal followers on tonight. We've been talking about a theme show of shows that you could stream that were canceled really way before they should have been.
Yep.
So what do our loyal followers think of that? That's what I would ask as we close it out.
Okay.
Are we asking them for names of shows or whether they think the concept's good?
Yeah, just whether they think the concept's good. We'll come up with the shows.
Yeah, and if you want, send me an email with any show that you want us to discuss that you think was canceled before its time. Feel free to even throw in a pitch to be on the show with us, and you can come on and
Chef today. To your email that's currently there on the screen. I just sent you a picture. If you could pop that up real quick, just for Bob's sake.
What do you think? That fancy, dude.
All right. Well,
advanced notice would help.
Somewhat technologically. No, it's just
image. Text I can just throw out there pretty quick. We got some already. Firefly, and then Jess Paul says, "Great cat." Jess just wants to come back. So all right, you can come back. Oh, she wants to give a showdown. She wants to. She's also in the top 8 of the best singers of the theme song. So that's
CRP. I want to tell you the Ron Weasley character on this show is probably worth the price of admission because it is shocking to see this character.
He's got to be just so happy to have any role. I mean, when was the last time you saw him?
He's super happy.
No, he's good. But, some of these people don't have to work again, Bob.
True, but they want to.
No, I'm sure they do.
I want to throw one last thing in here about that. M. Night is one of my favorites, and I'm either all in or I'm like, what the hell was that waste of time?
Yeah.
On Twitter the other day, I can't remember whose tweet it was. It was great. They said, wouldn't it be funny if all these QAnon idiots found out that M. Night Shyamalan is Q?
That would be amazing. But it's time to say goodnight. Bob, say goodnight.
Good night.
Ron, say goodnight.
What he said.
Yeah.
Howard, say goodnight.
Bonsoir for your Lupin fans.
Yes. Scott Curtis, thank you for joining us. Say goodnight, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Listen to the Behind the Bits podcast and listen to Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Also check out the Silent Bob Show.
Yeah.
And Behind
I feel
the
like
Bits.
Ron and I need to do our own show now.
You guys should do your own show. But in the meantime, we will see you guys next week. I'm Jeff Dwoskin, host of this show with my good friends here, and also Live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Check that out. Check out all our podcasts. We're going to see you next week. We love having you. I love the comments. Shoot me an email, and we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Crossing the Streams, brought to you by scenesnobs.com and part of the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Your hosts, of course, Jeff Dwoskin, Sal D'Amelio, Bob Phillips, Ron Lippett, and Howard Rosner. Follow us all on the socials, and we'll see you next week and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Mark your calendars. We're going live and crossing more streams.